That sounds like last orders at the bar. It is last orders. I've got comedian. In fact, it says here, Danny Posthill, that's you, is undoubtedly one of the most promising British comedians around today. Have you written this?
I did, mate, yeah. Sorry.
Well, it sounds like it. Well, listen, I've seen some of your videos, mate, on YouTube. Absolutely hilarious. You're political. People like Trump, people like Diane Abbott, Boris impressions.
Yeah.
But you come from Hartlepool.
Yeah.
That's where they hang monkeys, allegedly, or they used to.
Yeah, and I've still got some rope left, so be careful.
OK, I'll be careful of that. But I've heard that Donald Trump's been sniffing around there. Is that correct?
Well, I'm going to actually have a holiday home in Hartlepool. It's going to be the greatest holiday home, the most incredible holiday home, because everyone knows, Lee, and Nigel, your good friend, he knows that I've got all the cards. Everyone knows I got all the cards, And in fact, when I spoke to Keir Starmer, we were talking about the Gaza Strip, and I am going to turn that into a paradise, by the way. It's going to be the most beautiful paradise. It's going to be incredible. We're going to have hotels, golf courses, but the main attraction is going to be the Trump Hotel, Mosque and Casino. Pray, play, stay. It's going to be incredible,
Is that okay for about? Is that okay before 9 o'clock, producer? He says that's okay. Seriously, mate, that's a great impact. What I noticed then, you're doing all the hand movements, but you're turning the body, but the feet never move, do they? That's a Trump trait.
No, well, they don't. When you do Trump, you have to look like you're squeezing a ball. It's very important, When he goes further forward, he squeezes it tighter, and then he moves away. It's like a harmonica too, And I've got to say, Nigel Farage does the same, doesn't he?
He does.
He goes higher and up, like he's throwing an invisible ball into the air, I mean, what does he say? I don't want to be in Europe. Italy don't want to be in Europe. Hungary don't want to be in Europe. Manchester United simply have no choice.
Well, I'll go with that one because I'm a Forest supporter, as you well know. But, mate, great impressions. I would imagine that when you was a kid at school, you was mimicking your school teachers.
I used to do all the teachers. That's what sort of got me into it. And then my French teacher talked me into doing the school talent show. Yeah. But I didn't really want to do it because I wanted to be a footballer. And then I just thought, well, there's more longevity in comedy.
Plus, you were crap at football.
I was crap at football as well. Yeah. You obviously saw me play. That's what I love about you, Lee. You're very straight talking, aren't you? I mean, obviously now with comedy, it's just getting more difficult. If you let it, I suppose, Because, I mean, there's certain places you go to. I went to America a couple of years ago. And have you been to Los Angeles?
No.
No, I wouldn't, to be honest. I would never go back. Yeah. I mean, I was going to move there, but I couldn't find a tent that I liked. You know what I mean? But I was actually at the bar. I was along Venice Beach, and there was this sign that was 2 cocktails for $20. So I went over. I was with my ex-wife. I said, "Hey, mate, can I have 2 margaritas, please?" And he just looks at me and he goes, "Mate." I said, "Sorry, is there a problem?" I said, "Because in England, that's a term of endearment."
Yeah, it is, yeah.
And he goes, "How dare you? How dare you assume my gender?" I thought, oh, here we go.
There we go.
He said, "I identify as non-binary."
Yeah.
I said, "Look, I didn't mean to upset you." I said, "Can I please just have 2 margaritas?" Anyway, he's gone away, he's made the drinks, he's come back and he's put them on the bar. He said, "They'll be $20. So I put $5 down. He said, "That's $5, that's not enough." I said, "No, but I identify as 20. That's how ridiculous it is, and that's how ridiculous it's getting with all this woke stuff.
So you've done Britain's Got Talent. You're doing the comedy circuit at the moment. You're doing gigs. Is it a one-man show you do?
I do one-man show. I just gig everywhere, really. I mean, I'm not on tour per se, but like I say, I do the cruise ships, because like I say, on the cruises, you've got an international audience, so you've got to really look at your material. I mean, you get Americans are great, by the way. They come on the ship, they're like, "Hey man, isn't this ship fantastic? Loving everything about it, man, the entertainment, the food, the hospitality." Yeah. Then you get the Australians, the Aussies are great, they're like, "Struth, mate, loving everything about the ship, the entertainment, the food, the tacker, the sailors." Then you get the English people who come on, "How much did you pay?"
That's true, isn't it?
It is, yeah, especially when you're from Hartlepool as well.
Trying to outdo you, aren't they?
Of course they are, yeah.
But when you see somebody and you want to mimic them, how do you start? For example, Trump or Boris or...
I think when you do somebody like Boris, I think one of the most important things is think about firstly the voice, the tone, the amount of times he says the before he gets into a sentence, and the fact that his arms are independent of him when he speaks. And looking at him, I think he could possibly be the worst darts player I have ever seen in my entire life.
Terrible darts player. But listen, Danny, this is flying by, this interview, by the way. We've got you behind the bar to pull a pint.
Yeah.
Got the glass there, the neck oil there, and I want to give you a challenge. You've got 30 seconds to pull the perfect pint.
I want to let everyone in Hartlepool.
So grab the glass, my friend.
Yeah.
And while you're pulling it, I want to ask Diane Abbott a basic question. Is if Diane Abbott was here, I would say to her, how many half a pints are in a pint?
Okay.
Okay, so the amount of halves that are in a pint are round about. Okay, what we need to understand when we are talking about a pint and half a pint is we need to make sure that we are trying to find a solution to the problem. And the problem that we have is when I am trying to pour a pint. What you have actually done, Lee, is you've asked me a question on numbers, and you know that I'm vulnerable with numbers. Therefore, you're a racist.
Okay. Well, you can pop that pint on the bar, please.
Oh, that's horrendous. Look at the state of that.
Terrible.
Has anyone got a flake? That is
And you didn't answer the question, did you?
Well, that's exactly how she answers them.
Yeah, it's like a politician's answer. So you've got any aspirations to get into politics, Danny?
Well, to be honest, people like you and Nigel are people who represent people like me, working class people.
Really?
You know, you do, absolutely.
I hope so, mate.
You know, and what I love about you, Lee, I've been working on you as well. And what I love about you, right, is I have my Lee Anderson moments. I was in Brighton the other week and I seen a sign which said vegan shoes. And I just thought, what a ridiculous sign, especially with having it with beans and chips. You know what I mean? And then I thought to myself, Lee, if you change yourself around a bit more, you're going to turn into Mick McCarthy, the football manager. You know?
No, that's a bit. I think he's Barnsley, isn't he? So
Yeah.
So we're North Nottinghamshire, like
Nottingham, yeah.
I'm between Nottingham, Derby, and Sheffield.
So it's getting the accent right as well within the impression, you know, before you start going.
Well, Jim Davison tried it when he came up a few weeks back. He tried to get the accent. He didn't quite get it.
Well, Jim's one of my favourite ones. I do quite a bit for Jim. He's great, but sometimes I don't know what material to do as Jim. You know, because I might upset everybody, you know.
Well, he's been cancelled, hasn't he? He's been cancelled.
So many times, but he still sells out theatres. And you watch him, he's an incredible comic, you know. Along with Bobby Davro as well, because Bobby Davro gets offended if I don't mention him. He calls me Judas, because I always go on about how good Jim is.
I once called Jim, hope he's not watching this, a pan shop Bobby Davro. He wasn't very happy.
Oh, really? Oh, Bobby, you'll love this then. Right, cut that bit.
No, he does some great work. You're right. I mean, he's been cancelled. I mean, Bobby Davro used to have a great show back in the 80s on TV.
People forget he was like the Ant and Dec of his time, you know.
It's a great minute.
I mean, Ant and Dec, they're just like, you know, they're the national treasure. Ant and Dec could do anything, and even if they weren't very good, people are forgetting.
Oh, they weren't very good.
Well, they could do. Well, they could be managers.
Not very good.
They could be managers of the England football team. They would turn it into a show, wouldn't they?
Yeah,
you know?
well.
That's right. So welcome back to the changing room, where we're about to pick the starting 11 for the World Cup qualifiers. So here we go. Joe Hart, it's not you.
Danny Posthill, comedian, comic, genuine all-round nice guy.
Thank you,
hopefully
Lee.
you're going to come up to Ashfield.
Definitely.
And do a gig for us.
I'll come and do a gig for you, definitely,
There you go,
mate.
Danny Posthill.
Nice one.
3 out of 10.
That's for the pint, by the way.